morning and welcome to Inside Running on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Magnificio races to the lead, getting through Waterman's Bay. Magnificio narrowly from Waterman's Bay.
Our team will evaluate each race, interview leading contenders and update Tab Touch markets.
But now Delicacy, here she comes. Delicacy under the 59 went to Neverland and Real Love Dark Musket. It's Delicacy against the inside. Sublime, brilliant, greatness in the cup.
We trust you will enjoy this edition of Inside Running. Now, over to the team for their look at today's meeting.
And a very good morning once again to everyone tuned in to TAB Radio as we kick off Inside Running. Belmont today, the first of 9 at 12:09. Weather showery, track heavy 8. And, well, I think there's a bit of a question mark around the weather and track. Darren, as I say, a very good morning to you.
Thanks, Leah. Good morning to you and a very good morning all. Great to have your company as well on this Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us for Inside Running. Yes, you're right there. More rain forecast this morning after about 11 mil fell overnight there, and of course there has been this wet weather alert, and the Bureau of Meteorology indicating here that the winds are going to be very strong for the day, so probably not the best of conditions through this Saturday. And it is, of course, the running of the Idyllic Prince, the 10th running of the race since it was changed over from the old Goodwood, and a race where Jim Taylor has had such a phenomenal record, and again looks a live chance with Search and Rocks back in action there this afternoon, and she's certainly one of the horses that most will be targeting for her return to racing since the Hyperion. Let's join Digby, Beacham and Scott Embry as well here with us in the studios this morning. Good morning to both of you. We're kicking off the day at least with a heavy 8 there, Diggs, and some suggestion here that it's playing much heavier than what the rating might suggest, talking with a number of the jockeys out there that rode on the Wednesday program.
Good morning to you, Darren, Scott, Leah and listeners. Great to be here on this pretty bleak Saturday morning, it must be said. We're approaching spring, Scott, but you wouldn't know it if you are setting foot outside, and certainly that track out there today, it is a heavy 8, but you'd be surprised if it's not going to race considerably worse than that.
Well, we saw that last week. We were on the quick downward spiral in terms of track rating, and you never know, we may well be again today. But first and foremost, we are going to the races, and that's the most important part for us as punters and media folk and participants. Everyone's happy to just be going for a start.
Scotty, the numbers, the times, the sectionals, the breakdown from the Wednesday program, and certainly the feedback that you receive after the race from those that are participating out there would suggest here that the track, maybe at the moment, is as heavy as we've seen it for some time.
Well, we saw that on last Saturday. Willie Pike rode the first winner, and funnily enough, Pikey's the first person to say this is not heavy. He's normally, no, it's better than that, but it was a soft 6 that he had his first winner on Bondi Bay, and the first thing he said was, this is genuinely heavy. And I think from Wednesday's meeting, you could see that on the day. They looked like they were really struggling to get through it. And in the end, the empirical data, the time figures that come out of those races tell the story in the end. Now, I know that there is a lag between those figures coming out and being there on race day, so it is hard to adjust live at the time. But from Wednesday's data, and it depends where you get it from, but the reason I spend so much money on the database system I've got, and I'm talking like near on 10 grand, like it's a big investment year on year, but it's worth having. That data on Wednesday, that track was a heavy 9 all day, every day for the entirety of the meeting.
So why are we racing on a 7 then when they say it's a 7?
I think, unfortunately, once you get there on the day, the track's rated a 7, and the reluctance to downgrade thereafter is due to weather conditions. Now, you're out there on Wednesday. It was quite a nice day. There wasn't any rain around.
No,
there was not many clouds. And I think it's an old school view that track condition is weather dependent, whereas these days with so much data out there and so much reliance from the punting syndicates who create our turnover to fund our industry, their reliance is on facts and figures, and those points of data don't rely on weather, they rely on time.
Sometimes you don't necessarily need data though, Scotty, because those who ride on the tracks know better than most, don't they? And when a rider like Johnny Allen, who came across from Victoria to ride last weekend, took a couple of mounts there, his comments after he rode at Belmont last weekend, I thought were certainly interesting to hear, given the fact that Victoria, well known for its very heavy tracks over there, indicated that Belmont Park might be one of the heavier ones that he's ridden on.
And you don't need to spend a fortune. You got race number 1 on Wednesday. We're on a soft 7, the 1,000-metre race for 3-year-olds. There was only 6 of them, and they were a fairly talented 6. 102.66 as their raw figure crossing the line. But more importantly, only 2 horses broke 37 seconds for their last 600.
Nicely played on debut behind Keep It a Mystery on a soft 6. That filly ran 59.74 herself on a soft 6. On Wednesday, she ran second, and she's run 102.88 on a soft 7. She has run 19 lengths slower on a track which is a soft 7. Please.
So it wonders, or it begs the question, why we go with the rating that we do.
Be transparent.
Well, I think that's the general feeling out there, the discussion amongst those who, participate out there and those who do the data in depth. The track is playing heavier than what the rating might suggest. And every indicator is there for that, I think, to be taken into consideration.
It's not an easy thing for anyone. I'm not trying to stand here and point fingers and say that but it's something that we are observing, and we're not the only ones that are observing. It's a nationwide issue, but it needs some attention brought to it. And I personally think it is just an old school view versus a new school view, and we're caught in the past. Because if you wound the clock back 20, 30 years, there's not these big data syndicate punters. The phrase stable money is not really a thing anymore, if we're frank. We're talking about if you were to go in and do a deep dive into the amounts of turnover, where they come from, they are either big, powerful individuals or groups of individuals who are betting as a team.
Syndicate-type
wagering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the money comes from. And the one thing they've all got in common is the big data behind them. So I just think that it's a moving of the times.
And I feel for the jockeys a little bit too, because they come back and say to trainers and connections of a horse didn't handle the track. And they say, well, hold on, it's a soft 7. And they say, no, it's not. It's a genuine heavy 8, 9, maybe 10. It's bottomless. No, it's not. It's a soft 7. They look at the jockeys like they've got 2 heads. So, no,
maybe just call it for what it is.
100%.
And everyone's fine with that.
Exactly. So listen to the participants. Listen to the jockeys. If you're track staff, if you're stewards, that's a really good starting point, I would have thought.
Well covered. Okay. Let's have a look at the changes for the day. As we say, we are going to start with a heavy 8 at this stage. But
10.
There is /10 with more rain to come through the course of the morning. Showers forecast there from the Bureau. And we start the day with the Rozzie Binder turns 40 plate. Well done to Rozzie too. I've known her for 40 years. Can you believe that there? We celebrated the day that she arrived into the world, her father Rodney and I. And of course Rod also happened to win the Idyllic Prince when it was known as the Goodwood Boys 17 years ago. Went on to win a Group 1 and Rod became the first Indigenous trainer in the history of the Railway Stakes to train the winner. And his daughter became the first ever Indigenous and only Indigenous female rider. So there you go. They've got a very special place in the history of WA racing. And congratulations to Rozzie. She is a fabulous, fabulous person, celebrating her 40th today at Belmont Park. Now, race 2, the Charté Creations Handicap. There were no changes in race 1, incidentally. Made in Mexico is out of race number 2, number 4. Over to the third race, the Key Clean Handicap, and that is clear. Race 4, the Tab Touch West Speed, 5 and 6 out. Secret Identity and King's Artillery, 5 and 6. Race 5 is the Drummond Golf. There are no changes there. Race 6, the Accolade Wines Handicap, is also clear. Race 7, the Morley Growers Market Handicap, number 1, Siberian Siren and Stablemate, 8 Border Force are both out. Race 7, takeout 1 and 8. In the Idyllic Prince this afternoon, it's a field of 9, no changes to come there in the Wait for Age feature. And that race does go, incidentally, at 4:28, not 4:25 as published originally. And the last on the card at 5 after 5, take out number 5 Advanced and 10 Cisco Joe with that heavy 8+ band there on him, it would seem, Scotty. So Cisco Joe comes out along with Advanced, race number 9.
That race 4 market will be turned upside down with Watch Me Rock coming out.
Race 4. Okay.
Race 4, number 2.
That's
Watch
a lady,
Me Rock.
is it? Okay.
Race 5, number 5, Secret Identity, number 6, King's Artillery.
Yeah,
Plenty coming through.
So
in
Watch
that
Me Rock is a later one there. We checked those at 8 o'clock and it's just come through now, Watch Me Rock. So there you go. That is a very, very important scratching out of race number 4. Just an update there to the list that we had on the stroke of 8 this morning. OK, we'll take a break. It's 14 minutes after 8 o'clock. You are listening to Inside Running, an interesting start to the show this morning. And we'll be back with our look at the action right after this.
Cannot afford to miss Inside Running. WA's most comprehensive metropolitan thoroughbred preview of Saturday racing.
And we get straight into Inside Running with the first at Belmont coming up at 12:09. The Rozzie Binder turns 40 over the 1,200 metres. Favourite here on the Tab Touch fixed odds 6 Schmoove Mover at 3:30 and 1:30.
OK, some interesting texts that are coming through here this morning in regards to our comments about the Belmont Park track at the moment there too, and it seems as though there's a lot of people who agree and lots of other opinion that also has come through. We haven't got time to discuss it right at the moment, Diggs, but it might be worthy of having a further, overview discussion through the course of the week on the Brecky Show.
Sure,
with
we'll be discussing
yourself and Tim as well. OK, well, let's get into this, and we see the first appearance of Schmoove Mover from the Simon Miller's stable, and debuts with a very good rap here on this Territories gelding. Unbeaten in all 3 barrier trials and has done it with a degree of versatility as well, Scotty and Diggs.
He certainly has. He looks talented. It looks like he'll get through the ground as well. He quickens up nicely, and he has been a 3-year-old or a recently turned 3-year-old, Scott, that the stables had a big opinion of for a long period of time. They were hoping to get him to some of those features as a 2-year-old in the autumn. Things didn't eventuate, but here he is on debut in a solid enough race. In saying that, he's going to have to be pretty good to be winning on debut over 1,200 metres on a genuinely heavy track.
And that's the difference between trials and race day. 1, the race day pressure, but 2, he's trialled 3 times, pair of good 4s and a soft 5. And today you wheel him out onto a heavy 8. Asterisk.
Yes.
It is an asterisk.
Yes, it is an asterisk.
It's definitely price dependent as well here. Not only is the horse able to handle the conditions, the additional pressure that comes out of those barrier trials, but clearly he has ability. So you come back to the horses that are race fit. Battle Commander is one of those, placed the informed Bondi Bay last start, and Game after leading and coming back to 1,200, and that'll be important too, having that little bit of extra steel in the legs, I would suggest, here under these conditions. And Gold Maker, 1,200, you would have to think is going to be a bit more to its liking, the way that it's finished off in its 2 starts back this campaign.
Exactly right. And then you've got a horse like Mean Machine, who I thought was going to be awfully hard to beat down there at Pinjarra on the 14th of August. Unfortunately, he was a little bit slow to step, didn't have the rub of the green on that occasion. I thought he actually ran okay, Scott, all things considered. Does Keep It a Mystery lead here?
I thought probably Battle Commander to his outside.
Yeah. And therefore, Schmoove Mover, has the drop on those two. It's just whether he's able to, really let go over the concluding stage of this race, or is he able to, dare I say it, pick his legs up at the back end of this race on debut at 1,200.
When Tab Touch went up Thursday morning, Brad McManus obviously had a liking for this horse, kept him very safe, went up 210, then he went up 280, 290 around the rest of the country, and that money has come for the last sort of 48 hours to the point where he is now. So I think he'll be hard to beat on debut. How much confidence can you go in with a horse on debut on a very wet track?
Very measured.
Very measured, but 6 for me, Schmoove Mover. I've loved everything that I've seen about him in all 3 of those trials. The day that he was going to go to the races on debut was a Perth Stakes, and he was on the 3rd line of betting behind Bustling and behind Sir Dream-A-Lot. There's no Bustlings, there's no Sir Dream-A-Lots in this. I think it's a stock sort of winter Saturday lineup, whereas I thought that he could be the one outside the box. 6 Schmoove Mover, 3 Gold Maker, love the 1,200, excited that in 2 weeks' time there's a 1,400 for him as well. 2 Keep It a Mystery, 5 Soldier of God. I got a bit of a liking for this horse as a type. He's still got a fair bit to learn though. 6, 3, 2 and 5.
Okay, Diggs, are you going to roll the dice? Measured sense of tipping the horse in the first? Or not?
No bet. tip no bet for me, Darren. I will put Schmooth Mover on top. From 2, Keep It a Mystery. 1, Battle Commander with that, 1,400 under his belt. He's rock hard fit. He'll ride the speed. And 4, Mean Machine. Tricky little map for this horse, but he's got his share of talent, and the booking of W. Pike catches your eye. 6, 2, 1, 4.
Yeah, 6 is well there for me. Schmooth Mover, but with caution, and I think we'll probably be saying that consistently through the course of the meeting today with a number of our selections. Goldmaker and 1, Battle Commander. 2, Keep It a Mystery, going out to the 1,200 possibly. Next best, given the fact that it will park on speed. So 6, 3, 1 and 2 there in the opening event on the card layer.
All right, 6, 3, 1, 2 for Darren. Scott Embry with 6, 3, 2, 5, and Diggers with 6, 2, 1 and 4. Race 2 at Belmont comes up at 12.44. The Chartres Creations handicap over the 1,000. Chris Parnham with the favourite 6, Bravo Centurion at 190. 2, Snippy Witch 447. Salt Lake Shake $8, 8 Frappuccino 950. Double figures upwards the rest.
Okay, well, Chris Parnham back aboard Bravo Centurion. Paddy Carberry took over last time out. Chris aboard there for its first up win as it attempts to make it 3 in a line. And it's looking very, very progressive indeed, this 4-year-old from Luke Fernie's stable. Interesting runner coming back today, though, is Frappuccino. First run on ground like this, of course, but being by Machino, they do get through the conditions very, very well. And Lou Luciani elected to scratch from the Pinjarra meeting there on Thursday, reserving it for this and taking on a horse with absolutely untapped ability and potential.
Reading between the lines, I think Louis was just trying to find the right setup. Frappuccino scratched from Thursday, accepted here. He was down to trial this Monday. He was nommed for a race next Wednesday. So they're just trying to find where they wanted to kick off their programming with him. I thought Bravo Centurion, especially after the scratching of Made in Mexico, was the starting point to this race. I think that he probably quite contently parks just off into the outside of Salt Lake Shake. I thought that Holly Watson and Salt Lake Shake would have the speed to lead Bravo Centurion. And from there, I actually thought that they could pair off at the top of the home straight and potentially pinch a break on the rest of them. I was 6 from 7 in this race. I like Snippy Witch as a horse. I really like the trial. I thought he was the best of the closing brigade. I'll include Bonnie Ladd. I'm going to watch Frappuccino. His debut performance behind Tycoon Harry was a ripper at Bunbury, but then he went straight to 14 and 1,500. So, it's hard to line him up. He is a maiden taking on some pretty well-proven Saturday types. 6, 7, 2 and 1's the way I went. Bravo Centurion, Salt Lake Shake to be too speedy for them on the wet track.
Staying with the 4-year-old as well here, Diggs, are you? Bravo Centurion?
No, I'm not.
No?
Love the trial of Snippy Witch. Loved the trial. He showed excellent change-up speed down there at Lark Hill. He's only had the one trial, so he's up against a horse in Bravo Centurion who you would think is probably at peak fitness now, given he's had a trial and a couple of runs back where he's been ultra impressive, it must be said. But Snippy Witch, he's proven at this grade. And I look at that trial and think, I want to be with you when you do step out. And I like this race for him here. He'll be fresh, he'll be handy enough to the speed, and he'll get through the ground. So 2 from 6, Bravo Centurion. No knock him. He's a really, really talented horse. 3, Madam Kisses, and 8, Frappuccino. It's a good little race, this one. 2, 6, 3 and 8.
Funnily enough, at that meeting, at that trial set, there were 2 of Adam's horses that you thought, I want to be on you. I want to back Pin Deep wherever he goes.
Correct.
And I want to back Snippy Witch.
Yep.
So probably stiff that he's run into Bravo Centurion because it was a damn good trial.
It was the first one got up, though, and
he bolted it,
did it well on Thursday.
And the yards ticking over beautifully, it must be said.
Yeah, well, and I guess, too, and you look back at the genuine heavy track form, he has been placed on a heavy 9, Snippy Witch, so you've got no concerns in regards to him handling the track there today. I just like the way that Bravo Centurion is progressing along there. He really does look to be a horse in the making, and I don't think that Luke's got anywhere near to the bottom of him at this stage. I'm happy to go with him again, rolling the dice over Snippy Witch. I think it's an absolute dead-set Quinella affair, though, and maybe the 1,000 a bit on the shorter side for Frappuccino. I know that he ran second, and it was a terrific run to Tycoon Harry at Bunbury on debut, and then went quickly out to the 14. But I don't know, on the face of it, you would have to think that maybe as a type of horse, the way that he is, and the families regarding their capacity over a bit more territory. Frappuccino will be looking for a little bit further than the short course to start this campaign, but he's a nice horse. And Salt Lake Shape with the shades on, I'm going to put there into the fourth box. 6, 2, 8 and 7, Diggs.
Yes, I was 2, 6, 3, 8.
2, 6, 3 and 8.
At 6, 7, 2 and 1.
And 6, 7, 2, 1 there. Leia for Scotty in race number 2.
Wonderful. Let's get straight into race 3. It comes up at 119. The Key Clean handicap over the 1600. CJP with the favourite. 3 Hemlock Stone, 310. 1 Super Romani, 337 Burnbrae, 370. Double figures upwards the rest here, Darren.
And a race 2, Diggs, Scotty, that probably is devoid of real depth.
I think that's probably a fair assessment here. It's a no Metro win last year mile, so the race conditions probably lean itself to that anyway. There are 3 in the market and near on equal favourites.
Yeah, tough race.
It is a tough race, but at the same time, I thought to the eye, Hemlock Stone's last run was exceptionally good. And if we talk about the thinness of this race or the depth of the quality and the form, I would happily make the case that the deferred Tenacious Reward form line is the strongest.
No argument there. Absolutely none whatsoever. If you talk about runs, though, that caught the eye, then certainly that of Burnbrae at its first start for Tony Triscari is very much the same situation there. Although the horse hasn't won for a long time, it's getting on for 671 days. But second up for the New Yard. I like what she was able to bring to the races first up. There was a really good run, and maybe Burnbrae in the New Yard is set for a change of fortune.
Well, Adam Durant produced her first up 1800 last prep. She went first up a mile, so she had no worries in both the ground and the distance.
And the jockey, isn't Lucy flying? Isn't she having some sort of a run at the moment? Metropolitan, Provincial here, Kalgoorlie, it doesn't matter.
We're only, 3.5, 4-ish weeks into the season. Lucy's ridden 15 winners in the month of August.
Yeah, 9 in town, is that right?
9 in town.
9 in town. Treble last Saturday, double Wednesday.
6 second placings as well.
Yeah,
she's in the top 2 15 times.
Nah, she's going super. So, look, her and Burnbrae are going to be popular in this race, Darren, no doubt. But I just went to the toppy, Super Romani. Big horse, 59.5. Again, the booking of Pike gets you, and as much as he hasn't been seen on a heavy track, that's not an issue. The breed absolutely swim. So I just thought a horse who's rock hard fit, a winner at 1800. 2 starts ago, I thought he was actually okay behind Filthy Habits. We've seen Filthy Habits since come out and win. We'll touch on Filthy Habits a little bit later this morning. I thought he might be your starting point here, the toppy.
Well, I think he's one of 2 or 3 that have got legitimate winning claims in the race. Hemlock Stone, we take that into consideration there, the fabulous run and the form there. That is the preeminent form, I think, if you look at it going into this race. I was taken with Burnbrae's effort, though, and I could have been on either there from a tipping point of view with a big question mark. I'm going to play Burnbrae, second up, mile, fitter clearly, to beat number 3, Hemlock Stone, and 1 Super Romani. 7, 3 and 1 there for me, and Thorogood's another that fits into that category of not having won for a long, long time. But then again, the form falls away very quickly, and from barrier 1, maybe just getting a soft run or parked on speed there, might have to take up that role of having to chase Vasilev, you would think, in the race. He probably fits there into the 4th box somewhere. So 7, 3, 1 and 2.
3, 1, 7 and 6 for me. I love the last start run of Hemlock Stone, and I'm going to tip the deferred Tenacious Reward Quinella in the next race. So why wouldn't that be the preeminent form? 1 Super Romani, 7 Burnbrae, and I'll include 6 Vasilev. He sat outside of King Cartel when they cut at each other last start. He doesn't have King Cartel in the race today, so he should get it cheaper. 3, 1, 7, 6.
And your assessment, Diggs?
1, 3, 7 and 2, Darren. Not much more to add.
All right then, Leia, over to you. And then on the other side of this, a break before we continue back on here with our preview of racing at Belmont Park.
Just to recap, selections here, race 3 at Belmont in the Key Clean handicap. Diggers 1-3-7-2, Scott Embry 3-1-7-6, and Darren McAullay 7-3 1 and 2. If you've just tuned in, we are up to race 4 for the Belmont preview today on Inside Running. It comes up at 1:58, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum over the 1300, not Speed. A fixed favourite for Lover's Session for Lucy Fiore at $2.51.30, backed in from $5, Darren.
Yeah, this Watch Me Rock coming out of the race certainly has turned the market upside down, Scotty. There's going to be some significant amendments to it now. I found it a challenging race before the scratching of Watch Me Rock.
30 cents worth of deductions across those 3 scratchings. So completely changed this market. And now we're lobbed up with a race with Lover Session 6-4 favourite with 10 second placings to her name and only the one maiden win.
Are you a thrill seeker, Scott?
No way.
Let's see if we can't just map this out and we'll get through it nicely.
Universal Flair.
Universal Flair to the lead.
Yep.
Well down in class and an absolute duck in the wet. Can we see a rebound from this mare on maybe some of the form that she's displayed so far?
Her first run was a ripper when she was 3, 4, 5 deep behind Storm Chaser and Ice Picnic. She hasn't really reproduced that since, but this is a mountain easier than what she's been contesting. More Special, who's the other speed horse, has turned a corner in the last couple, was better in the Mine Host race and then was the second horse across the line behind Bravo Centurion. So it was good to see her bounce back to a bit of form.
Was the run of Yelling Up Girl better than it reads 8 of 12 first up?
Yeah, I loved it.
Absolutely,
I
it was.
agree.
Absolutely, it was. So much so, I've got her on top.
And I'm with you.
Yeah, I've got her on top.
Trials were good too.
Trials were good, yeah. She swims, she's fitter, she gets a good gait. A couple of handy ones come out, in particular the 2, Watch Me Rock. I'm happy to be with her ahead of Lover Session. No knock, it's just that she finds it awfully hard to win. She's always finding one better.
Exactly
In
right.
saying that, Yelling Up Girl, she's only won the once from 12 starts and she has 6 second placings to her credit as well. But I thought those were the 2, 9 and 4.
Some noted bridesmaids in the race there. Scotty, I'm going to go with 9. I'm heading down the bottom with you, Diggs. Yelling Up Girl towards the bottom end of the guide. But I thought that maybe the conditions, even if Universal Flair can get a couple of cheap sectionals in front there, and I can't see where there's going to be too much other pressure come her way. I thought that, she could rebound coming back into this class of race where she is certainly down considerably. That she was in this event with 4 in Lover Session for the obvious reasons. And, I'm not quite sure where Canny Jack fits into all of this. Numerically a terrible card second up, but it's a wet tracker and did cover some ground on return. So it'll make my selections. I guess you could also throw, Ash Maley's mare, Penny on the Queen, in the mix as well somewhere.
I didn't think her form was too bad. I'm actually going to put Penny on the Queen on top as a bit of a point of difference. She's through that Desert Nymph Estimator, King's Flirt race that continues to produce winners. Ran into Looks last start, high-speed race where they didn't really make that much ground. So I'll go 3 Penny on the Queen, 9 Yelling Up Girl, love the trials, love the return, 4 Lover Session, and 8 Canny Jack. 3, 9, 4, 8.
9, 4, 1, 3 for me. Yelling Up Girl on top from 4 Lover's Session. You know what you're going to get from her. 1 Universal Flair, who is your speed reference, and 3 Penny on the Queen. 9, 4, 1, 3.
Wonderful. All right, so Diggers 9-4-1-3, Scott 3-9-4-8. Darren, recapping your selections?
And I'll be going with the 9, putting in Yelling Up Girl, Universal Flair, Lover Session, Canny Jack. 9-1-4-8.
Wonderful. Let's head to the next race, race 5 at Belmont at 2:30 for the Drum and Golf. Over the 1400, 6 deferred, $1.90 for Tenacious Rewards, $6. 1 Manavendra, $7. Chris Parnham aboard the favourite here in the 5th.
Scotty, you've already given us a precursor to your thoughts into the 5th event here with Deferred, the favourite, in fabulous form, undefeated in the 3 runs that we've seen of this epaulet mare so far in the campaign, and Tenacious Reward, who has been consistent to the point but still has not been able to win one in 2 appearances.
And just watching that replay last start, Lucy Fiore rode Tenacious Reward brilliantly. She was the one that kicked up under Deferred for the first 400 metres and kept Deferred out 3 deep for the first portion of that race. So I just didn't think that 1.5 kilos was enough for Tenacious Reward to turn the tables on Deferred. But I also, at the same time, thought that he was the danger. So I'm 6 from 4. I didn't think this race was any deeper than the grad that they were in last start. The additions being Manavendra, who's on a long-winded, Boulder Cup, Kalgoorlie Cup pathway, and Wango Award, who's been thereabouts all prep. 6, 4, 1 and 3. But in terms of a talking point for this race and a very difficult question, out of the 8 horses, who is the leader?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question. I couldn't identify one per se. Difficult. Do you have a view there at all, Diggs?
No, it's muddly. It's a muddling run race, no question about that. I thought maybe Jelly can run. Now,
boy, that's a big maybe.
That's a big maybe. It's that sort of race, and that's why I don't mind deferred from that gate, because when they do want to stack up and it's a bit ugly, Chris is going to be able to get into clear air perhaps a little bit quicker than others, and she has got a turn of foot.
That's in her favour.
Yep.
It's a big asset to the fact that she can quicken even under these conditions, as we've seen with a victory on a heavy 8 first up. So I think that she is the measuring stick, deferred, and I think it'll be the same Quinella when they fought out that race back there on the 10th of August. So 6 from 4 there for me. I'm in your corner as well there, Scotty. I don't think there are too many others in the race. Wango Award, Manavendra, they look to be the obvious, don't they? 6, 4, 3 and 1, Diggs.
Same 4 numbers, different order. 6, 3, 4, 1 for me. Deferred, I thought she was one of the better bets on the day. On a day when you need to be pretty keen to be getting involved, I would have thought.
6, 4, 1 and 3. I think Manavendra is going very well.
All right, so 6, 4, 1 and 3 for Scott Diggers, 6, 3, 4 and 1. And Darren, 6, 1, 4 and 3. So everyone with the same selections here, just in different order. Race 6 at Belmont comes up at 10 past 3. The Accolade Wines handicap over the 1200. 3 Son of the Boss, 320 backed in from 350. Heads the market. 2 Russian Sniper, 440. 5 Leniency and 8 Under Influence, 550. And William Pike aboard 2 Russian Sniper has drifted from 360.
Okay, I don't think we'll have too many problems in identifying a horse who can lead in race number 6.
No, provided he jumps, Son of the Boss, but
yeah, well,
I think that he's your leader.
And you'd think that Excel Train on the fresher side also can park right over the speed there. So you get a map at least here in this.
Correct, and you've also got a horse that's in wonderful winning form in Russian Sniper. Now, normally you would look at West Speed Platinum victories going into this grade of race and shake your head, but he's probably the outlier because he's been carrying massive weights and still winning in those West Speed Platinums.
And been up a long time, as we discussed the last time that he appeared there, and carried the 61.5. I think with an exception of maybe a month here and there. But he's going into his 22nd run in the preparation.
And posted a career best figure last start, which just shows how good he's going.
It's phenomenal, really, isn't it? That a horse can have that many runs in a campaign.
You just don't see that.
I'd love to know what Adam must do. He must just take him home from a Saturday and just chuck him in the paddock and say, I'll come and see you.
Forget about him.
Yeah, I'll come and see you on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. I actually don't know.
He's not even the toughest horse on the program because Filthy Habits is here again.
Yeah, exactly right. What about Under Influence? You made the comment a fortnight ago, Scott, and I think it's a fair comment. You'll go broke backing horses like Under Influence, these back-marking short course horses. But gee,
they're hard work.
They are hard work, and you know what you're going to get if you are invested financially, emotionally.
Barrier 1 as well, too. Yeah. Are you going to get a glue pot down there on the inside?
How do you know? How would you know?
You just don't know.
But boy, oh boy, he was impressive the other day. It's a good win, wasn't it?
He's in the exotics. I think that's how you have to generally play the day, don't you? But I do think that, Russian Sniper you have to stick with, because everything that he does suggests that if you drop off, then you're a mug, because he'll just keep making an absolute liar of you. Son of the Boss, 3rd run in, building all the while. I was taken with the run, and I love the second up card if you go back and look at the performances of Leniency. And maybe drawn out there isn't a bad thing today. If you can, sit back, maybe get a little bit of cover and let go. I thought that run here to Ice Pick Nick in the 72 plus was very good. And I would think that he's right there in the race as well. I think you can identify those as the primary chances to take out this leg of the quaddie.
Straight to the front for me, Son of the Boss, and from there he controls with 57 on his back. He comes through the Sentimental Bell race, and obviously she gets rolled on the weekend, just on midweeks just gone, but Silver Eye was there as well, and he bolted in last Saturday. 3 Son of the Boss, 2 Russian Sniper, 8 Under Influence, 5 Leniency.
And for yourself, Diggs?
8-3-5-6 for me. Under Influence on top from Son of the Boss. 5 Leniency, love the return. And 6 Sunny Honey. The heavy box was ticked last start and should get a lovely run there. 8-3-5-6, just tiptoed around Russian Snipe. I'm not sure why, but I have.
Yeah, I did
I don't
as
know.
well. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm one of those mugs I referred to earlier.
It was great insight from you, Diggs.
Yeah, exactly right. He's a ripper. I must admit, every time he goes to the races, you watch him probably closer than others just because you think, well, that's start number 20, 21. But no, I'm with Under Influence here. Love that last start win.
He'll appear in a Zimmer frame the way that he's going very soon. I'm going 5 Leniency. It's my each-way play around that 650 mark today. I think can beat Russian Sniper, Son of the Boss, and Under Influence 5-2-3. Are we not giving enough credit to Valency in this race here? 1,200. That's got to be a tick. Placed in the Jungle Mist and the Jungle Dawn. Second up goes to 1,200.
I thought she'd end up settling last in running.
That was my concern, map. It was map dependent, me.
And she probably spun the wheels first up. And this track's probably wetter again.
58.5 mare. Yeah, I just tiptoed around her because of where
she's at long odds.
Yep.
But she's a nice mare all the same.
She's a good mare. Yeah, very good mare.
You know, multiple stakes place. So you'd have to maybe give her some consideration, but maybe the conditions here are going to conspire against her. OK, Leah, that's how we've seen race number 6. We'll take a break on the other side of this.
OK, Diggers 8-3-5-6 in race 6. Scott 3-2-8-5. Darren 5-2-3-8 with an each-way bet here for Leniency. Take note, we've just had some information coming through with some rider changes. Race 3, number 9. Joey as a party now riding for Sluice Box, previously Jade McNaught. And race 5, number 5, rider for the Spruker is now Troy Turner. So take note of those changes. And if you missed the information coming through just before we went on a break, rider changes at Belmont. Race 3, horse 9, rider for Sluice Box is now Joey Azzopardi, and race 5, number 5, Troy Turner is the jockey for the Spruker. We are up to race 7 for the preview here on Inside Running. 350 jump time, the Morley Growers Market over the 1,300. 10 So Lucky, favourite 260. 134 Cruise to Victory, 376 No Brainer, 652 Miss Drakova, 950 double figures upwards the rest.
OK, in regards to Jade McNaught, Scotty, there, that knee issue where she gave it a good old bang coming out of the gates a couple of weeks ago, obviously still causing her some concerns.
That's not
assuming
the assumption we make, I suppose. Yeah, she obviously came off rides a couple of weeks ago with the bit of knee soreness.
OK, now we look at race number 7 here, and there's no shortage of exposed form in this race. Who wants to go first, Dip, given that So Lucky's going for 3 in a line and could not have been any more impressive. She does step up. This is a bit better. But to go into that section of the track where no one else was going, not only go there, but give them a shellacking at the same time, suggest here that this is a mare who has got so much ability and upside there progressing forward.
Gee, the punters thought that they were onto something on Thursday as well, following that form line. The money for Village Girl.
It was huge.
Unrelenting. She didn't exactly frank the form, but at the same time, the third horse, Just a Dorabelle, through that race too, she ran well.
She did.
It's another good step up in grade for her, but she's gone from maiden to class 3 with success, now to a 60 plus. She only strikes a field of 8. She comes into barrier 4 after the scratchings. She's got a good, decent last 600 once she gets winding up.
She just looks progressive, doesn't she? She's lightly raced, clearly. It's a small sample size with which we're working, but she couldn't have been any more impressive last start. In fact, the maiden was terrific.
Yeah, I absolutely couldn't agree more there. She went down to Bunbury and I thought that she was so impressive, and we made the point coming to town here when they do come off the provincials. You do see one that might have that little bit of X factor about it. I thought that she absolutely fitted that criteria perfectly, and she didn't let us down either. I was very bullish about her last start. I didn't expect that Chris would go back to that pad where she finished up heading to. She was on her own, but the more they got into the race, the further she extended the winning margin.
Yeah, it was terrific. It was a really, it was a win of a horse who's not going to be out of place on a Saturday, and she strikes a very winnable assignment here.
There are others, though, that have been in good form. You look at Bistrakova, Dennis Chew, third run in. He also caught the eye at Pinjarra last start, digging in hard at the end of a 1200. The extra trip today will be in his favour. Cruise to Victory has won 2 of its last 3, and No Brainer was very good in winning its first 2, then had an excuse, I thought, last start in that very strong form reference race that you're referring to, Scotty, deferred Tenacious Reward, and is looking for a bit further. But whether or not Barrier 1 is any tick remains to be seen at this stage. Again, we just speculate and make an assumption on what it could be, but we don't really know.
Well, that's what you get with winter racing, isn't it? You get lanes, you get tracks that, chop out regions of the track which are good for the first 2 or 3 races, and then they become toxic. So it's difficult.
This question's almost as difficult as the one earlier. Who's the leader in this race? We've got a couple today that have got absolutely no speed in them.
Maybe it's Cruise to Victory. Potentially.
No Brainer's showing a propensity to race handy.
Well, if you're worried about barrier number 1, the easiest way to avoid it is to take it up.
And then if you want to come out, you angle out into the straight. And
You've got a form rider there that's doing exactly that at the moment. Lucy goes on board this afternoon. I finished up going with what I've seen, and I've been so impressed with So Lucky. I think that she could finish up being a carnival-type mare, fitting into those nice mares races, the way that she's progressing. You just know when you see one and the talent that they exude, and I think that might be also something that the Pierce brothers might be looking further afield for her. Dennis Stewart at the same time, I loved his first up run to Sentimental Bell, and equally so, got caught back last start at Pinjarra. It was challenging to make the ground there that particular day, but he was one that did, and I thought the last 100 was particularly good. He motored late, and the extra 100 this afternoon will be in its favour. So I'll mark it down as the danger, given the fact that you're completely unsure about Barrier 1 and what No Brainer will do. Will it sit? Will it lead? Hard to say. But again, I think that you have to overlook that last start, fifth. Its first 2 performances against weaker opposition were very encouraging. And Cruise to Victory is fit, in form. I'm going to mark it down into my pick 4, 10, 3, 6 and 4. Scotty?
10, 6, 4 and 9. I thought No Brainer was very good in that deferred race. Brad Parnham just got held up at a crucial stage in the straight, and he actually picked up again in the last 50 once clear. 4 Cruise to Victory and 9 One Punch. After those scratchings, hopefully he can get a half-decent run, get some weight relief here, and he's been solid all the way through his prep. 10, 6, 4 and 9.
And Diggs?
Yes, I'll make it a clean sweep, Darren. 10, So Lucky on top from 5. Invincible Ruby, she'll be back, but the couple of scratchings just whittles away that field size, which should work in her favour, and she clearly will appreciate the ground today. 3 Dennis Shoe, impossible to miss that run most recently, and 4 Cruise to Victory. So I'm 10, 5, 3, 4. A watch on the 7, Sold an L. We had a good chat to Stephen Parnham yesterday, and he was really, really bullish about this mare pulling out a good one fresh. 10, 5, 3 and 4.
Okay, she does have a nice card when returning.
All right, so Darren 10, 3, 6, 4, Scott 10, 6, 4, 9, and Diggers 10, 5, 3, 4. We are 6 minutes off 9 o'clock here on TAB Radio. Race 8 Belmont at 4:28. The Idyllic Prince Stakes over the 1300, and Steve Parnham has the favourite 9 Search and Rocks at 280, Darren.
Yeah, Search and Rocks. Jimmy Taylor, of course, has won this race 5 times. Once as the Goodwood. In fact, 4 times as the Goodwood with Idyllic Prince, and he won it with Barraquee as well. They changed the name of the race, as I say, about 10 or 11 years ago. But he'd love to win this, no doubt, with this mare. And when you look at the race, you look at Search and Rocks, and you look at Valor Road, and you look at the conditions. It's a weight for age, and you tip weight for age horses proven in weight for age races.
Pencil her in. I'm bullish. Really keen Search and Rocks. She's been a cave-in job too. 460 into 280 since markets were opened on Wednesday afternoon. She's 2 from 2, don't forget, on a heavy 10.
Loves it.
She swims. That first up run last prep, so if you're looking at a race book 5 starts ago in that Pinjarra Classic where she sat 3 deep outside the leaders and got beaten, in a head bobber, that was off 78 days. So very, very similar preparation to this. Comes into it fresh, rides the speed, weight for age mare, weight for age race. Her last 2 in the Belmont Sprint and the Hyperion, she's split Western Empire and Magnificent Andy, and then she's run 3rd behind Magnificent Andy and Let's Gallivant. So she's been alongside the winners there of the Northern Sprint, the Belmont Sprint, the Hyperion and the Strickland. It's all weight for age form. I'm very keen on her.
And the other weight for age are, of course, the old fellow, the Warhorse Valor Road, the Bar has come off at the start of this preparation. Won this race, of course, last year. First up, coming off a 15-month break between its runs. So, again, a horse who has just got outstanding weight for age form, Diggs.
Absolutely. They're your two proven weight for age commodities in this race, and you can understand why they are going to be popular with punters. Is Saloon Bar none here? What's the reticence with him?
I just come back to, if you take away his run in the Quokka, and don't get me wrong, it was a ripper.
Yep.
Other than that, what's he done?
He's been ultra consistent in and around this grade. Now, admittedly, not at weight for age, but he broke 33 when running behind Western Empire
at Northam.
But he was back, and he just, he couldn't have gone much quicker. He's rock hard fit. He'll swim.
They won't be running 33s today, though.
No, the little brother won on a heavy on Wednesday. I know Stevie had a choice to make, and he's gone the way which he sees right, and I take your point, Scott, and the market loves it, clearly. But this bloke's had a couple of runs under his belt.
He's top three.
Yeah.
He's top three, but I just think the other two, all things considered, their form over a long period of time, and particularly under these conditions, is exceptional, really, compared to its opposition.
I just struggled to see how he was going to carry 2 kilos more than Search and Rocks, concede her a head start and run past her.
That's where I think she's so well in 57.
Race fitness, though. She's got residual from that winter campaign.
Class is class.
Yeah. Yep.
At the end of the day, I think it's 9 and 1, then 3, and I'll put Varstart going into its second up there, benefiting from his run in the Bolton, likely to come forward. 9, 1, 3 and 8 for me, but I think Search and Rocks is going to be the testing material here.
9, Search and Rocks, a day where you shouldn't be overly keen, but I am on her chances today. 1, Valor Road. He's a winner previously in blinkers. He hasn't worn them since 2020. Blinkers off, bar plates off. Sorry, blinkers on, bar plates off. It's a pair of very nice gear changes. 5, Ginger Baker. Liked his trial, liked the horse, wet tracker. And 3, Saloon Bar. 9, 1, 5 and 3.
3, 9, 1, 8, Darren. So I think the same 4 numbers as you, just a little bit of a different order. I'm with Saloon Bar. I just think that this fellow's going well. I'm really interested to see how he'll go on a heavy track. He's got race fitness on his side. So 3, Saloon Bar, from 9, Search and Rocks, 1, Valor Road. They are clearly proven at this level. And 8, Varstart. I thought the return was encouraging. 3, 9, 1, 8.
Okay, as always, Diggs keen on a Saloon Bar.
3918 for Diggers, Scott 9153, Darren 9138. That brings us to the last at Belmont. It comes up at 505 over the 1600, 5 and 10 scratched. William Pike with 4 sensational, 310, 140 to wrap things up here.
Oh, boy. Sensational going for 5 in a line. Filthy Habits chasing a hat-trick of wins. The consistent Falcon Trader gets a little bit of weight relief with the Apprentice's Claim today. Maybe a couple of horses, including Classic Rogue, a bit unlucky last start as well. Throw that all into the melting pot. What do you come up with here?
It's tough. It's I thought a very open way to finish the program. Sensational's 310. He'll do it tougher today. And is the weight in this grade at least catching up with him?
Possibly.
Hard to say, because what he does do, he takes you from a viewpoint of, I'm in a bit of trouble here, to, no, I'm not. Because he has got this will to find the line. You just see when the transition occurs, you can see him changing stride when you're watching them when they gear down. And that's what he does late when he's under pressure. He puts the ears back, and he's a horse who finds the line willingly under pressure. That's what I like about him. Whether he can win this today with 57.5, well, that's the great unknown.
Unlike some other races on the day, Scott, they're going to run here. There's plenty of tempo here, isn't there? So they're going to march. Now, they're not going to break the clock, we know that, but there's top-end speed here, because you have got Filthy Habits, you have got Savage One, and Joey, as a party yesterday morning, said he will be riding very, very positively aboard Savage One. So
he takes the sprint out of their legs, which is exactly what Filthy Habits likes to do.
Exactly right. Can I pose a question here regarding a mare who is 4th up today, that being Fine Touch? She's 2 for 2, 4th up. The other day she was there, turning for home, and just probably didn't find much late. I'm just wondering whether she comes on from that today. and Park's behind that tempo.
I think there's an expectation from others that do the form a bit like yourself there, Scotty, that tend to think that she's in this. I think there's quite a few of them, though, that are in the last.
I watched her last 2 replays and just wondered to myself whether she's overly appreciating the conditions. She's loomed up a little bit in the last 2 and not exactly knuckled down.
Yeah.
Just wonder whether she's overly handling it well.
We'll find out today.
Yeah.
We'll find out today. I went that way, each way, fine touch. From 6, Classic Rogue. This was a run the other day.
No luck.
No luck.
No.
Luckless. Now, again, Classic Rogue and Fine Touch might be spotting the lead as a few lengths turning for home, but I think with even luck, Classic Rogue can play a part here. 4 Sensational, 57.5, probably gets back. Top end tempo is strong. Not entirely sure that he is worthy of being an investment today at that quote. And 12, West River Miracle, again, a horse who will appreciate this ground, and he's got a good racing pattern. 8, 6, 4 and 12, Scott.
But I had a really throw at the stumps with West River Miracle a couple of starts ago, and I'm going to go again. That day, Sensational got him in the final bound. West River Miracle gets 4.5 kilos on him.
Yeah,
It's significant, isn't it?
And a field advantage again.
He's drawn 1, not huge on that, but at the same time, if Savage 1 and Filthy Habits want to roll from a long way out, he gets that beautiful tracking run in behind. So
Been a long time since he won a race.
But I mean, the other day, even when he gets beat, he was $17. You're still getting a bit of ticky money.
Absolutely. No, I think you can look at it that way for sure and certain. It's a race that's going to, I think, have varied opinion.
12 for me, West River Miracle. 1, Falcon Trader. 4, Sensational. 2, Playhouse Patron, but a very wide leg of the quad.
Sensational, giving its connections, some of them first-time owners, the ride of their life at the moment. They can't believe how lucky they are.
I must admit, turning for home the other day, I thought, well, you're not winning. You know, you started to look elsewhere for who was going to win the race, but he just found it was a brave win.
Yeah, I like what he brings, Sensational. I also like a horse who's going to settle in front, and I think, again, you're going to get a little bit of value, maybe, in Falcon Trader, who meets Sensational 3.5 kilos better today, and he'll be in front of him, no matter where they settle down here. I know that there is a lot of speed in the race, and he'll be up there prominent, so I thought that maybe it's Falcon Trader, but without any great conviction. Classic Rogue, I agree with you. I thought that he was absolutely luckless last start. And Sensational, and I think the other one that could be in the mix here, coming back to this class, is Playhouse Patron. So I might include it there. And I'm leaving, West River Miracle out, and I've left Filthy Habits out, coming back in distance as well, which could be to my detriment. But couldn't tip them all. 1, 6, 4 and 2.
1, 6, 4 and 2 for Darren to wrap things up. Scott with 12, 1, 4, 2 and Diggers with 8, 6, 4 and 12. Best bets for today, guys?
Well, I think you've covered it off pretty well there, Scott. It's not a day where you start launching into best bets, but you think that Search and Rocks could be the one?
Race 8, number 9, Search and Rocks.
Okay, you one and only for the day?
No, race 1, number 6, Schmoove
Didn't
Mover.
need much convincing, did you? Twist the arm.
We'll do the wrong thing. Back a debutant on a heavy 8.
Yeah, why not?
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
His beady little eyes just lit up like Times Square.
Yeah, if you were to twist my arm, maybe deferred, but no, not for me today.
No, I'm probably a little bit in agreement with you there. I'm a big fan of deferred. Probably sing off the same psalm sheet as Scotty with Search and Rocks. Maybe a little bit later on in the Idyllic Prince.
Wonderful.
That's our look at today's racing. Back with you just before noon, of course, with the latest update there from out at Belmont Park. We'll be keeping a very close watch on the weather conditions and also how the track is going to play in the early part of the day.
Happy Cup Day.
Broom Cup Day.
Who wins, Scott?
Awesome Chatter.
Awesome Chatter beats Favinsky.
Very good race.
Yeah, it is a good little race, isn't it?
No, it's a ripper.
Yeah, big crowd expected there today.
Yeah, you'd
good luck
have
to
to
all
imagine.
concerned.
Yeah, to the Broom Turf Club, and of course there is a meeting up there in Kununurra.
First in 26 minutes.
Yeah, they had to change.
Of course, that's right. Yeah,
change the times there with
26
they're expecting 39 or 40 degrees up
Is the
there.
bar open?
Never closes, has it?
Might have to get there.
Different rules up
Sounds
there.
like a good spot.
As you say, what could go wrong?
Exactly.
Thanks for your company this morning here on Inside Running. We look forward to your company a little later from Belmont Park.